Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Lighthouse Sessions. I'm really excited. I have my new friend Regan Archibald with me. And Regan and I are going to talk about a few fun things, but we've already had a little time to get to know one another. And Regan, why don't you just tell my audience a little bit about who you are? And then we're going to talk about what's in the water in Utah, because I see a lot of innovation coming out of that state right now.
Oh man, well, Utah is just a hotbed for entrepreneurism and just bigger thinking. And I don't know what's necessarily in the water, but what I do know is we're the beehive state. So people are very industrious. We work hard. We're loyal, trustworthy, and so I think that goes a long ways in entrepreneurism, which is just increasing, an underserved market and adding value. That's essentially what we do. And I actually grew up in Idaho, so about 250 miles north of Utah.
Okay.
Grew up on a cattle ranch there, and wanted to be anything but a rancher when I grew up. So I had an uncle who was a doctor. I'm like, he's got the weekends off, and he's got clean clothes, and his jeans aren't ripped. I want to be like him. So I went into the healthcare field and been practicing for 21 years, and it's been a really exciting journey.
Well, and I love some of the stuff we've talked about, and I see by the pottery behind you, you've got some traditional stuff. But tell us about some of those certificates on the wall, because I was fascinated that you studied Chinese medicine and Japanese acupuncture, and I'd love to hear the differences or the similarities there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought hard science was the only way you could practice medicine. And then I had my own healing crisis. I had 5 doctors. I was getting ready to start the medical program at the University of Utah. And they all said, you're just too stressed. And I was like, well, why is my skin flared up? I'm tired all the time. My joints ache. I didn't make sense. And so I had one of my instructors turn me on to Chinese medicine. And I started using Chinese medicine myself, had a massive recovery in my health. And when I went to school, I found a mentor, Dr. Cheiko Maekawa. And she completely changed the way I thought about healing and health. Very inspirational. So I was the first American certified in a form of acupuncture called Seitai Shinpo, which is basically an acupuncture treatment method that aligned the spine and removed autoimmune disease. So it activated the immune system. The Chinese medical theories are very similar in Japanese medicine. Japanese acupuncture is just much more gentle. So we're in the Japanese style. It's about the smallest input from an acupuncture, moxibustion, herbal perspective that yields the highest leverage in healing. Chinese medicine's a little more aggressive, and it's let's attack the problem with deeper needling, more aggressive herbal formulas, and kind of force the healing process. And but my Japanese acupuncture is what's really got me excited on peptide therapies, because now we have these really gentle molecules, and you just dose small amounts for short periods of time. And that's where we create a lot of leverage in people's cellular signaling and the way that their brain can perform and function. We also see massive changes in metabolic function, energy levels, all the good things.
I love it. Now, first, I'm going to pull apart one word, because I don't want people to get lost. But let's talk about peptides. So, what is a peptide? What does it do? How does somebody know that peptides belong in their world?
Well, you've got peptides in your body already, so they're naturally occurring. Just like you have nutrients, you have hormones. All it is it's a chain of amino acids. So it's a small protein structure. Our bodies can store glucose and carbohydrates in our liver and our muscles. We can store fat. We all have fat storage, in our belly, our legs, wherever. And but we don't necessarily store these proteins. But proteins get denatured, they get broken down. And then peptides are what turn on the genes from a cellular perspective, so that your body can start expressing the health you want.
Oh, so they're literally the activator switch, or I guess in science,
Yeah.
the catalyst, right?
They can function like a catalyst, which is an enzyme, so an enzymatic reaction. They can function like a hormone, where there's a little more long-term communication, where they're turning on endocrine function. They can serve as more of a cell structure support. So you think of some of the peptides, yeah, you're going to see some body composition changes, and literally the cell membrane changes with these structures.
So I encounter in my life a lot of let's call them workaholics. That's the polite term. They're known as driven. They're the ones who work 80, 100 hours a week. And they
you don't need to call me out. I mean, this.
Sorry, did that get personal? It's almost a cliche. For what it's worth, I know personally that I can work 3 consecutive years of 100-hour weeks before my kidneys shut down. I know these things. Don't ask me why I wanted to learn it, but I needed to learn it apparently. But a lot of people I encounter, they've replaced sleep with caffeine or other products. Don't judge, but I actually know people who have gone out and got nicotine patches because it gives them a boost of energy. And I'm like, okay, so you've traded caffeine for nicotine and you don't smoke, but you're now addicted to the patches. So those are the people I hang out with. What's that life expectancy look like versus when we're aware of things like peptides and we're looking at, I'm going to call it clean fuel for the body rather than the empty calories of sugar and caffeine?
Well, stimulants, to your point, it's one of the reasons why we love work is because we get the dopamine rush. You know, you finish that project, you're like, great, what's the next one? Who's the next client I can help? And that leads to the sympathetic nervous system dominance. So you get in this state of just needing that rush. And if you're not in that rush, we become addicted to it. You know, we feel like we're not producing as much as we can. And so the problem and what happens to our life expectancy is you have this other side. So that's why the yin and yang symbol in Chinese medicine is so powerful, because in the American society, or very yang based, I mean, most societies these days are you know, very, very much around productivity, acceleration, you know, learning, progressing. The yin side is actually looking back and enjoying your life. And that's where the parasympathetic nervous system comes in. And so we have indigestion because we have so many things we're trying to accomplish at once. And we don't actually distill the wisdom out of the experiences that we have when you're using some of these stimulants, caffeine, nicotine. All these things can be good when dosed properly, but even water, if dosed improperly, too much can kill you faster than it actually dehydration. You learn the dehydration threat with kidney failure, I'm imagining, but
well, don't judge me, but I learned at some point, if I stopped eating and drinking, I didn't have to go to the bathroom, therefore I could work more. And I'm not kidding. I'd work till my kidneys slammed shut and I'd be like, oh, time to go to bed. And then I'd wake up and do it again the next day. And it was just, when you're on that treadmill, you don't stop and go, that's probably bad.
Right. Well, and if you think the kidneys in Chinese medicine, they hold the jing, and the jing is like your essence. And so what happens is every time you are stressing your body out, you're losing a little bit of your essence, and that's your longevity. And what sits right on top of your kidneys are the adrenal glands. So adrenal, because the kidneys are the renal glands, right? Yeah. And the adrenal glands are what are regulating all of these stress hormones, like your epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline, your cortisol. And when you tax those for a long period of time, day in and day out, you burn out your jing, and then you die younger.
Well, that's my doctor said I had full adrenal system shutdown, and I'm like, I don't know what that means, but it sounds really bad.
Yeah, it's you know, you and I were talking about flying, but that's like, hey, both engines have now failed, and so you're gliding. Good luck.
Yeah. I can honestly say I've crashed and hit the earth a few times, but the goal is to not repeat. And I think that's so. Let's talk about what you do and what you've discovered, because I think I have a few friends that are obsessed with living to the age of 120. And, it's fascinating because I meet people who've lived hard lives and, they're like, I don't want to make it to 70, let alone 120. But I think it's about the quality of life, not just the length of life. Is that fair?
Totally. And if you look at like, what is your definition of health? And I define health and there's three facets to it. So number one is having a great lifestyle, and everyone defines it differently. I love my work, but I also, my body is my laboratory. So I've got to get out and I've got to do certain exercises. I'm always competing against my mountain biking times and snowboarding skills and skiing skills. And so I make, that's a big part of it. Having a great lifestyle includes close relationships. We're more likely to die younger if you're lonely and if you don't have reasons to live, and relationships do foster great health. So that's all in the lifestyle bucket. And then learning is in the lifestyle. The second thing is being able to generate energy. And what are the things that bring enormous amounts of energy? You hear a flow state, but that would be kind of that energy generation. And then the final thing is having fun experiences, things that take you out of the day-to-day life, which is, I love traveling. I love having unique experiences. I did a journey with one of my mentors over the weekend, and it was just like, these experiences are really what life's all about. It's those memories that you look back on and you're like, wow, in 2022, I was able to go and experience south of France, for example, and the Mediterranean lifestyle. It was amazing, that trip. Or my daughter graduated high school and now she's left the house in 23. And so you look back and you're like, what are these kind of big monumental things? And then where are you really intentional around having fun? And that's where you start optimizing your health span. And so before you ever think about lifespan, it's like, let's get your body optimized when it comes to health. And then we can start pulling the levers on these 12 hallmarks of aging and really getting people where they want to go.
I love it. Now, I'm going to ask you a random question, and I just want to get your feedback on it. But I'm seeing a lot of people, they're using either I'm going to use brand names. Sorry if you can guide me differently, but the wearables like Oura rings or the Apple Watch.
Yep. Garmin.
There's a brand that measures, what's the vagus nerve? I can't remember what it measures, but do you use that sort of stuff in what you do, or how are you helping people with that health span?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we build a body operation system for everyone we work with. And, because biology is very unique. Genetically, 99.999% the same, but holy cow, that one deviation, that 100th of a decimal point is where medicine becomes really personalized. But the diagnostics, we have a phrase, no death by neglect. And so if you're not getting diagnostics at the right time, you're going to learn sooner or later that you've got kidney failure, for example. Yeah. Like you just can't ignore it any longer.
Yeah.
What my team and our job is to go upstream and understand where the interferences are coming in from. We call it this epic diagnostic pattern. So the emotions, it's an acronym. So where's the emotional barriers? What's changing your hormones from a stress perspective? Where's your pain? Pain ages you faster. I mean, you can look at research and you'll see the brain ages about a decade faster with somebody who has chronic pain than somebody who doesn't. And that it's really important to protect your heart, your brain, your muscles. Infections, those are the other things that take us out sooner than where we want them, when we want to go. And then chemical exposures. So if you can get diagnostics around all those, you go upstream, then you can go into the predictive phase where you can apply inputs that allow people to remove these interferences and build up deficiencies. And then the body can start to heal. But to your point, if you're not tracking it, and just something as simple as heart rate variability, which gives you the strength of your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. If it's so easy to track, like why not use wearables so you can see when you're getting derailed?
I love that. And, it's funny because I have a friend who runs a very unique virtual assistant agency. What she does is for her executives as clients, she makes them wear these devices and she gets them to make notes, and she actually customizes their day based on their energy flows and their energy consumption. And she actually helps them architect their ideal day. Because I think that's the thing, everybody's like, oh, you got to get up at 4 a.m. or you're not going to succeed. Well, 4 a.m., I'm comatose.
And rightfully so. I mean, there's very few people who their circadian rhythms match with waking up that early. I know there's a lot of aggrandization on this 3 o'clock a.m. There's, the monks, that's when you're closest to God. Or there's, Jocko Willink, his strategy of just get out there and push. I love these guys, by the way. David Goggins, one of my boys, is like so into David Goggins. And I'm like, I like him. I mean, he's overcome his biology, but it's not the way I want to live. It's not, that's human biology once again, but it's really helpful to have a team on your side when it comes to what you're looking to accomplish in your health, so that it's congruent with who you are as a human and what you're really looking to get out of life.
Yeah. Now, a friend of mine, he was very proud of this. I'm disturbed. He trained himself to live on 2 hours of sleep a day. And he would do that. And it was literally, he had this process. If he needed a nap, he'd take a 20-minute nap, but he'd take it out of his 2 hours night. But every 2-3 weeks, he'd collapse. And I'm like, that is just not healthy. So what kind of damage are we doing if we're trading sleep for other things? Because there's that myth, that hustle culture, that if you don't work 18-hour days, you don't want it enough, you're not trying hard enough. I personally think if you're working 18-hour days, that's a symptom, not a
so true. Yeah. It's kind of like the person who's like, I don't know why I can't lose weight. I'm eating 1,500 calories a day. It's like, well, the weight's just a symptom. It's not the problem. And same with sleep. I mean, if you look at the research, we can go longer without food than we can without sleep. And we don't know all the reasons why we need sleep. Matthew Walker wrote a great book on this, why we sleep. But there's an interesting study where they took college students and they made them sleep deprived. And of these college, we'll get money for anything. I was in several several drugs.
I was a lab rat. I got $40 to sit and let them do stuff. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, I did several of those, wisdom teeth pulled, bunion surgery. I mean, all of it. I was like, oh man, I get $1,000. Sign me up. Yeah. But the college students, what they found is after 2 weeks of being sleep deprived, like no sleep, they all had diagnosable medical conditions: schizophrenia, bipolar, depression, anxiety. I mean, it is if you want to have really poor mental health, then just don't sleep. I mean, that's your fastest way to be miserable in life, is to skip sleep.
Wow. And for what it's worth, I know one of the issues facing women going through perimenopause and menopause is they don't sleep. So then they're anxious, and then they get anxious about, I had a friend who got one of those rings and it kept telling her how little she was sleeping. And that caused anxiety about her insomnia. And it was just, okay, let's look at the symptoms and figure out why. Because I think that's the other piece. A lot of doctors give you, oh, here's the standard pill for this. And it's like, again, you said 1/1000th of a degree of variation. We all have different chemistry.
Big time. Yeah. And I think, sleep is magical. I mean, how many of you listening to this are just a little more pleasant to be around when you sleep? How optimistic are you when you've had a good night's sleep? It's like, cool, I can handle anything.
Yeah. You don't want to be around me when I'm sleep deprived. I'm cranky and I know it. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. Now I want to be mindful of time. What's one thing you wish people knew that they're ignoring at their detriment, and basically what do you wish they would change? Obviously sleep, but is there something else?
Well, I think it's just the way you set up your day, and this is where one of the magical blends, so I like bringing in Eastern and Western worlds, but one of the thing I found is that the way you start your morning, the way you function throughout the day is going to dictate how well you sleep at night. And so if people have the ability to just stay focused on the things they want to focus on and take breaks when it's time to take breaks, that's what makes life better, makes life worth living. And this is where, Founders Fuel is this formula that I created over the course of about 1.5 years with kava, a little bit of kratom, and lion's mane and L-theanine. And so it changes your brainwaves, so you get out of that state of constant stress and workaholism, and it helps your biology relax. And so, I think people just need to know there's tools out there that can allow them to reset and function on different brainwaves instead of just always forcing that kind of alpha and beta pathway.
I love that. Now, in the interest of time, how can people learn more about what you do? Where can they go to connect with you and follow you? Because I know you run multiple businesses.
I didn't realize it until you brought it up. Thanks, Jeff.
Sorry, not sorry, right?
Yeah. Well, agelessfuture.com is a great way. You can go to our YouTube page, Regan Archibald. Foundersfuel.co is also where we have a coupon code for people who want to try Founders Fuel. It's just Lighthouse is the coupon code, so they can get a discount off their first purchase.
Love it. Well, Regan, you will be back. I know today was an abbreviated session because we cheated and we talked lots off air, but I want to thank you for hanging out with me and for sharing your wisdom with my community. I think it's going to be hugely valuable. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Jeff.